In Pursuit of Truth, this is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We are back once again with more Q, but that shouldn't surprise you at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands where I can see them. All right, well, I guess you check out for now. Let's get started on these Q posts, but hey, first, I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. You look good. I like what you're doing with the thing there. All right, 2970, 3 minutes after the hour of 4, we get this Twitter status right here. And it's to Todd Panley. Good on you, Todd, for getting a Q shout out. Very nice. And Todd says, I'll take what is a Q proof for 1,000, Alex. Ding, 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 ding. And then we get this Twitter status right here, beer at the parade. And it says, POTUS notes from March 2nd. What's missing? Dates? Spoopy! Now, I got to admit, I'm a little confused on this because I actually recognized this picture from an article. And I believe this is an Associated Press photo, but I remember seeing this a while back. This is from a Daily Mail article back on May 2018, May 23rd. This was published a while ago, and we see right here, these are Pompeo's hands right there, and there's our list, and we're going to talk about that list in just a second. But the article, like I said, was from the 23rd of May, 2018. Looks like it was last updated. Then Pompeo insists administration will not tolerate Russian election meddling this year as photographer catches glimpse of to-do list, including a call to Putin's foreign minister. And then it goes on to talk a little bit about this list and how he, obviously put it facing outward so that it could be seen. So this is rather old, and I'm a little interested as to why this came up. I'm not exactly sure how Beer at the Parade got this to be the POTUS notes from March 2nd, but it is indeed not. And I don't know if we actually covered this article or not, but I do remember reading it back in May. So there you go. But let's take a look at that list. And here it is right here. And as you can see, a little bit of it is obstructed. We cannot see 1 through 6 very well. So let's just go ahead and start with what we can see. Number 7, we see Meet IG. Now, I'm not sure if that would have been OIG Horowitz or if that would have been Inspector General to the Department of State, which be Steve Linnick. He was a former white-collar fraud guy. So I'm not really sure on that one. And then we see Jim Donovan. I believe that's the radio host. Call Lavrov. That would be Sergei Lavrov, Russian foreign minister. And then some of these are a little bit hard for me. I guess that's the Mexican ambassador to the U.S., and then we've also got Carlos Sketchy Slim, the billionaire, Robert Riley. I'm not really sure what the next one is, 13. And then we have 14. That one's a little difficult to diversity data. I think that's what it says, diversity data. And then we have Sam Feist. That is the CNN Washington bureau chief, Sam Feist. And honestly, I can't really read the other ones very well. I think the 22 says PC on Iran. And then the Anon has filled in pain on 23, which was missing. And I think that's an allusion to a former Q post in which we were looking at what appeared to be a 23-day countdown. Here comes the pain, minus 23. Here comes the pain. But the Anon is pointing out the obvious here is that between 14 and 20, we see 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 missing. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little confounded here because I'm not really sure in the context in which this picture came up in the first place. Obviously, it's not POTUS's hands. So these weren't POTUS's notes. So I'm not really sure if this list is relevant to right now. At the same time, Q called it out. I'm not sure if Q's calling it out just to say that it wasn't POTUS's hands and that's it, or if there is some legitimacy to what we're seeing on the list here. Obviously, we see something missing. And we know that Pompeo back in the day when he held this list up was turning our attention to it, knowing that us Anons were going to catch it. So could these be dates becoming relevant? 15th through the 19th? Could it be relevant this month? I'm not really sure. You guys can let me know down below. I might be missing the boat on this because when I woke up, this was really all that I've seen on it. But those are definitely not POTUS's hands. They are Pompeo's hands.
Got a flashback of signs, yeah, take you back, yeah, yeah.
Taking you back to May 19th of last year, post 1415. This is where we saw, in place of a trip code, Q had posted this: "Now comes the pain," in what looks to be a long dash, short dash, 23, followed by 3 exclamation points. And just to show those of you who might be new to QAnon, normally we see a trip code. And this was actually at a period in time where you can see right there, Q was saying trip change. They were making a trip code change. But normally this is a code that Q will use, and that's how we know it is Q. But at this time, on May 19th, we saw "Now comes the pain" in 23. Now that 23, I think, was what the Anon was referring to in the picture, where we saw the missing 23rd option on Pompeo's list. So this was posted on May 19th. And then this article I remember seeing just a couple days later, and of course there it was, May 23rd. And so it looks to be nothing more to me than a Q proof. Now it might be much more, but I think that's all really that our friend Todd Penley was saying here. I'll take what is a Q proof for 1,000, Alex. But it is definitely not POTUS's notes from March 2nd. So like I said before, I'm not really sure if there's an immediate relevance to this missing 15, 16, 17, 18, or 19, or if that was relevant back then in May of last year. You guys can let me know, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it in future posts. Q says, "Sometimes reading between the lines provides," and then we got little ellipses there. It looks to be 6 spaces or 6 dots with a little space in between. You can let me know what you think down below too. But Q references again on that list of Pompeo, meet IG. That seems to be the important takeaway there. So once again, I'm not really sure if that's IG. Horowitz very well could be, but I also want to plant in your head too that it could be Steve Linick also. Let's move on to the next post for now. Post 2971, 26 minutes after the hour of 4 a.m. We get this Twitter link right here, and it is to Uncle Jimbo. That's Jim Hansen on Twitter. At Jerry Nadler admits on CNN they have no proof of obstruction by real Donald Trump. It's just his personal opinion. Meet the new hashtag witch hunt. Same as the old hashtag witch hunt. Let's give it a little listen, shall we?
Okay, so now you're not sure he's obstructed justice?
Personally, I think he has, but we have to look and see. If we're going to do anything, you have to have proof. I think there's a lot of evidence, but we have to get a lot more evidence.
So that's what this is about. You don't yet have proof.
It's part of what this is about.
Personally, he thinks so, but he's just not sure about those pesky facts. Poor Jerry. Q says, "Listen carefully. Reference regarding proof versus evidence. Democratic Party con to find evidence. The available body of facts of information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. The study finds little evidence of overt discrimination. Synonyms: proof, confirmation, verification, substantiation, corroboration, affirmation, authentication, attestation, documentation. Define proof. Evidence or argument establishing or helping to establish a fact or the truth of a statement. You will be asked to give proof of your identity." Synonyms: evidence, verification, corroboration, authentication, confirmation, certification, validation, attestation, demonstration, substantiation, and witness testament. Okay, so essentially, you need a whole bunch of Asians. And down here, if you want evidence, you got to have a whole bunch of Asians. And we don't have a bunch of Asians. We got nothing. Proof equals evidence? Yeah, we got none. Listen to the clip again regarding proof and evidence. Well, I don't think we really need to. I think we get the idea, right? Define brainwashing. Yeah, he's going on there saying, personally, I think so. And I think that we really need to get to the bottom of this. What he's essentially saying is we've got nothing. But I really want to keep doing this. And so I'm going to take my opinion, my strong opinion, and I'm just going to keep badgering you with it until you believe that it's truth. But the truth is right in front of you. Think for yourself. Q. Let's move on. Post 2972, 34 minutes after the hour of 4. We get this right here from Breaking 911. Security stepped up in New York City after 3 small bombs found near London transit hubs. And this is the Twitter status right here to Breaking 911. And then it takes you to another tweet, which takes you to this here. IEDs found in packages at major London transit hubs. The Met Police Counterterrorism Command has launched an investigation after 3 suspicious packages were received at buildings in London today. The packages, all white postal bags containing yellow padded shipping envelopes, have been assessed by specialist officers to be small improvised explosive devices. These devices, at this early stage of the investigation, appear capable of igniting an initially small fire when opened. The Met Police Counterterrorism Command is treating the incidents as a linked series and is keeping an open mind regarding motives. At approximately 9:55, the Met Police received a report of a suspicious package at the Compass Center, Nelson Road, Hounslow. The package was opened by the staff at the building, causing the device to initiate. This resulted in part of the package burning. Yikes! No one was injured. The building was evacuated as a precaution. Specialist officers attended and made the device safe. The building remains closed as inquiries continue. The building is not based at Heathrow Airport, and flights have not been affected by this incident. At approximately 11:40, British Transport Police were called to reports of a suspicious package in the post room at Waterloo Station. The package was not opened. Specialist officers attended and made the device safe. No one was injured. The station was not evacuated. However, cordons are in place at a small area, outside the station on Cab Road. Train services are continuing to operate as normal. And then it looks like we have another situation here. Approximately 12:10 hours, police were called to a report of a suspicious package at offices at City Aviation House, Royal Docks, Newham. Staff were evacuated from the building as a precaution. The package was not opened and no one was injured. Specialist officers attended and made safe the device. The building has been reopened. Okay, so pretty crazy. 3 separate packages in 3 separate areas all appear to be IEDs. And Q says, coincidence, post stringers dropped last night. And then we have that -48 again in brackets, which makes me wonder about this if maybe we're talking about under 48 hours. Q says, watch the news. So it looks like more incidents are probably going to be happening, things that they know about. Thankfully, this didn't turn into such a big deal. If you have any more pertinent information in regards to this, other than what we just covered, then go ahead and email me with that. But this is pretty crazy, right? So just another panic attack. And like I said yesterday, I was wondering if this was referring to voltage because we were talking about batteries. Now I'm not so sure, but whatever that chatter was likely prevented this situation, and who knows, maybe some other ones, but we'll probably find out in the next 48 hours if we watch the news. Let's move on. Post 2973, 36 minutes after the hour of 4. Quote, meet IG from the post earlier. Huber interview regarding, and then this was a quote from that interview, and we talked about this interview yesterday, so do me a favor and check out my video from yesterday if you have not. They range from domestic terrorism to court-authorized wiretaps of criminal organizations to child pedophiles and those who would exploit our children. If you'll remember from yesterday's video, I highlighted this very sentence. And this is talking about all the different things that all these attorneys are working on in Utah, but not just Utah. They just happen to be based in Utah. And that's a very important distinction to make. U.S. Attorney John Huber has he has the ability to do this all over the country. He can form a grand jury anywhere he likes. They range from domestic terrorism to court-authorized wiretaps of criminal organizations. Remember, FISA goes both ways. Remember, once you walk into my house, all bets are off, right? To child pedophiles and those who would exploit our children. Those are the very kinds of things that we want to see. So I think this is related to all those sealed indictments that we also talked about in yesterday's video, right? Criminal aliens. Big fraud schemes. Do you think the above is Utah related? Well, John Huber's a Utah guy, but like I said, this can go on all over the country. Crumbs are being dropped and missed. Think scope. And the scope, I think, is this whole scope of all these different things that are being investigated. So that's my guess, and I think this is just another, another proof that Huber is indeed doing his job. And meanwhile, you've got Christopher Wray, and I know there's a lot of people who are not fans of Christopher Wray, but I will say this: he has made quite a few changes, sweeping changes throughout the FBI. There's been a lot of different people being fired, removed, and replaced. So there is that going on, and I think Q is just turning our attention to the fact that much of this is happening, and just because it's happening from Utah or based out of Utah, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's only happening in Utah. Let's move on for now. 2974, 38 minutes after the hour of 4. Q is responding to this. Anon pointed this out earlier today. They specifically called them bombs, not suspicious packages as per the norm. And Q said, fire. Yeah, I guess when you opened that package, it created a little fire, and maybe that's what they were trying to do, is burn the place down. Post 2975, 43 minutes after the hour of 4. Q says, every barrel has a bad apple, but in this case, bad apples do not spoil the bunch. The core is what counts. The swamp is everywhere. It is indeed. We've seen it for 2 years trying to clean this swamp out, and it seems like we've still got knuckleheads to go. But I think what Q is saying here is the core is really what counts. There's a lot of good people in all these agencies fighting for this country every single day, just like you and I. Now, I want to point out that Q has used this reference before. I want to take you back to post 431, would have been December of 2017, December 22nd. We are moving fast. Remember, not all within the CIA, DOJ, FBI are bad apples. House cleaning, TOP, restructuring 1 to 2, operations 24/7, speed, Q. And then we saw it again post 1632, 29th of June. Responding to an Anon. And Q says most all-powerful organizations have sinister components. With power comes corruption. Like alphabet agencies, not all are bad apples. Should the bad spoil the bunch? So Q is also referencing some corporations too. And I suppose that's really, really true. It's hard to really just say black hat, white hat on everything. There's a lot of good people within bad organizations and vice versa, right? The swamp is indeed everywhere. Let's move on for now.
I am She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Yeah, great, cool.
Post 2976, 15 minutes after the hour of 5, we get this 8chan logo right here, which is also an infinity symbol. And then we get this Twitter link. Q says, sometimes you need a little humor. Look familiar? It most certainly does. Now, the link takes us to the NSA. Follow the dragon. The RSAC Ghidra talk has moved now at Moscone West 3001 from 340 to 440. Also, streaming live in West 2000. Downloads go live after the talk, and check out that logo right there. This is called Ghidra. We've got ourselves that infinity. Almost looks like that 8chan logo, doesn't it? This one is a dragon, and it seems to be spitting out some binary code. And there's also binary code in the logo too. And from what I understand, there's a little bit of a message there and a challenge for people to hunt out that message. Now let me take you over here to Cyberscoop. Let's check out this Ghidra. NSA puts Ghidra, it's a reverse engineering tool for malware in the hands of the public. Very interesting. After years of lurking in the shadows, the NSA's tool for reverse engineering malware is now out in the open. The software framework has moved from classified status into use by military analysts and contractors in sensitive but unclassified settings, and now it's available to anyone with an internet connection. Wow, that sounds handy considering there's tons of rats about. In a bid to help private and public sector analysts track how malicious code evolves and morphs, the agency announced the release of the tool at the RSA conference in San Francisco on Tuesday. As we open source it, I think the creative folks on the outside are going to build modules and capabilities, and they're going to be able to collaborate with us on improving it even further, Rob Joyce, senior cybersecurity advisor at NSA, said at an interview. Okay, so what's this whole thing about? The gist of a software framework called Ghidra is that it allows analysts to compare different versions of malicious code to understand what each is doing differently, including how it might be trying to hide on networks. Joyce told Cyberscoop, Ghidra can be applied to common platforms like Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. With more than 1.2 million lines of code in its database, Ghidra will give analysts a rich set to work with, according to Joyce. The agency is releasing a lot of source code for Ghidra on Tuesday, along with its executable file, and in the coming weeks, more information about the design and configuration of the software. There will also be an open source repository for Ghidra's code on GitHub. NSA officials hope Ghidra will highlight the agency's defensive cybersecurity mission, which is perhaps less known to the public than its foreign intelligence collection. The agency, of course, does plenty of its own hacking of foreign networks, but also helps other U.S. agencies secure their own. Okay, so this is pretty interesting stuff right here. Is it a game changer in that? Joy said no. Like I said, there are other reversing tools, but this one lets us do our mission in a very effective way. So there's your bit on Ghidra. Now here's an interesting little tidbit regarding Ghidra. It looks like it comes from King Ghidorah, a film monster originating from Toho's Ghidorah, the three-headed monster from 1964. And you can see the picture over here. Although Toho officially trademarks the character as King Ghidorah, the character was originally referred to as Ghidra in some English markets. And the design is an armless, bipedal, golden-scaled, bat-winged dragon with 3 heads and 2 tails. Nice! Its origin story has varied from being an extraterrestrial, planet-killing dragon, a genetically engineered monster from the future, or a guardian monster of ancient Japan. The character is usually portrayed as an arch-enemy of Godzilla and a foe of Mothra, though it has had one appearance as an ally of the latter. Now, this was the interesting part for me. Despite rumors that Ghidra was meant to represent the threat posed by China, which had at the time of the character's creation just developed nuclear weapons. Well, I suppose it represents a kind of a different threat from China nowadays, right? Director Ishiro Honda denied the connection and stated that Ghidra was simply a modern take on the dragon Yamata no Orochi. For anyone who is interested, it appears that binary code coming out of the dragon says hello world. Let's move on to 2977, 19 minutes after the hour 5. Q adds on with this picture right here, and it looks like they're kind of comparing the dragon face with this old logo. This is from the Thundercats. Ho! And this was your main character right here. He was a lot like He-Man. He was kind of this ambiguously gay, scantily clad hero that looks pretty much like He-Man, just with more hair. I can't remember if he had a tail or not, but there was their logo, Thundercats. And this was Lion-O. Yeah, Lion-O. He was like a lion, but just added an O. Not real creative there. He had a buddy named Panthro. I bet you can't figure out what he was. Yeah, pretty lazy with the names. What if I just put an O on my name? Then I would be Patricio. That's an awesome name. Wait a minute, that already works. Never mind. Bad example. Their name sucked. My name's pretty awesome. But you get the idea. This was the protagonist right here, Lion-O, and that seems to be the inspiration for the head there. And Q says X also grew up watching Thundercats. So, and of course X is a random guy who designed this for the NSA. Sweet. Let's move on to 2978. 39 minutes after the hour of 5, we get this Twitter link right here. It takes us to the Twitter page of De Oppresso Liber at Sun_Q_Sur, who says 11Q gives us a little humor, and then guess who else gives us a little humor 3 minutes later? And of course, you remember seeing this post. And 3 minutes later, we got this tweet from the POTUS. Crooked Hillary Clinton confirms she will not run in 2020. Rules out a third bid for White House. Aw, shucks. Does that mean I won't get to run against her again? She will be sorely missed.
Till we meet again, man of he. Good times.
Q says, good catch, Patriot. A puzzle within a puzzle. Red/green, magic swords, NSA humor Q. Well, we see that we have a green HN logo, and they turned it into a red Ghidra logo. That seems to be a shout out to our red castle, green castle from previous Q posts. That references our Army Corps of Engineers. Their logo is a red castle, and they're located in green castle. The magic sword is a reference to another previous Q post, which took us to this magic sword in the face of evil. Now, if you want to go online and look at the backstory here, I've covered this in previous videos before, but there was sort of a backstory to this whole magic sword thing. It's kind of interesting stuff, but you can see there's a lot of symbolism there. You can see the all-seeing eye in the middle of that sword, but pretty cool stuff. And Q had stated that this is one of their operators' favorite tunes. And of course, Q is simply just saying that this is NSA humor, a great way to poke back and also to give a nod to Anons out in public. Let's move on to 2979. 45 minutes after the hour 5, we get this picture again. And the Anon says, this is Q adding on to a previous post and just confirms that it's Kansas. And of course, Kansas is Mike Pompeo, confirming that those are indeed Mike Pompeo's hands. All right, kids, those are your Q posts. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who do that already. If you're new to my channel, welcome to you. Please keep in mind that from time to time, you're going to get unclicked and unnotified and unsubscribed. It happens all the time, so please don't be surprised when it happens. Just come on back and re-click yourself. Also, if you do me a favor and check out one of my alternate platforms, I've got my links all down below, my Gab, my BitChute, my Brighteon.com, and I'm over here at Twitter if you'd like to give me a follow at IPOT1776. That's at IPOT1776. They're all linked down below, as well as my email, my P.O. box, and if you'd like to support my channel, my Patreon link is down below. All those links are down below, and I'm going to leave that magic sword link down below for you too if you want to check that out. All that is down below in the video description. All right, kids, that's all I got for you for now. But until next time, this is Sir Patrick Mac. Stay funky.